right, hey, welcome back to another episode of Conversation with Pops. I'm Gerald President. This is my son,
I'm pretty Ricky.
Cedric President, aka Pretty Ricky. All right, we going back. Hey, this part two. This is part two. We was before we was interrupted, we was talking about Donald Trump, wishing that he could have bashed some fucking skulls in with the Capitol
Yeah,
protesters. I mean, with the protesters from George Floyd. But yet,
yeah.
when it came down to those white boys that went inside the Capitol on January 6th, it was stand down, and we had to show much restraint. And so,
Mm-hmm.
how we left off was I was explaining how the only difference was Trump was blocked from being able to bust our people heads in the way they've always been able to do in America.
Yes,
And
sir.
and that's what I was saying. It's just fascinating when you go back and look at all the history of all the protests. And I was talking about the bonus babies from World War One coming back when they money and how General MacArthur went in and bust their heads into the protests with Martin Luther King, all up
Mm-hmm.
and down the South and in the North. Because in Chicago they bust him upside his head. So that's what's so fascinating, Pretty Ricky, is we go around the world and we try to tell other nations how they should treat their citizens.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I can't comprehend why hasn't there been a class action lawsuit against this nation? Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, why hasn't there been a class action? First, under the sanction of the federal government, they allowed legal slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Under the guise of this nation, they allowed Jim Crow. You
Mm-hmm.
mean to tell me that we don't have a, um, a right to file for in the world court for our reparations and our justice from what they've done?
We
Think
do.
about it. We have a class action lawsuit because through the FHA, that was collusion with the federal government and the banks to deny our great grandparents the right to be able to
Houses.
accumulate, correct, to buy housing, accumulate wealth.
Yes, sir.
Going back to
Because
the
that's the
Indian,
biggest.
that's
Well,
the
we got
biggest
to
right
break
now.
that down. That's the biggest transfer of wealth through generations is the equity in people's homes,
Correct.
and so with us being denied that, that pretty much put us back because that was one of the only ways of transferring wealth to your descendants, which was creating generational wealth. It was the was when your parents die, you get that home, and then that home is worth however much, and now you're worth that.
Correct.
So you could borrow against that, send your kids to college. You could start a business based off of the equity in your home. And so because we were denied that, our great grandparents was denied that put us behind the eight ball very very much so. Even though we was already behind the eight ball coming out of slavery.
Think about that. Hey, hey, and that's something pretty Ricky. But yet they tell
Hmm.
you pull yourself up. Go get your education, and they don't. And that's what's so sad about living in this nation. And it goes again. It's intertwined with the critical race theory.
Yes, sir.
Because then the true history of this nation and this deceptive and devilish ways and harming our economic upward mobility in this nation, they make
Hmm.
sure that it's not discussed, even though they've documented, chronicled their duplicitous nature.
Yes, sir.
And see, that's why I say, really, Ricky, it doesn't matter what they do. They can't change what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They can't change the inevitable. Oh, we
Yeah.
coming, Playboy. Oh, we coming. America, we coming.
Yes,
Europe, we
sir.
coming. Oh, we coming, Europe. And the children, the true gods of this planet that was taken off the continent, what's known as the motherland, the true Hebrews, the true
Hmm.
Jews, the true Hebrew Israelites, the true children of God that was taken off of that planet, off that continent, and
Hmm.
spread throughout this world. Oh, we gonna take what's ours.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we're gonna take what's ours. See, that's one thing I see. So again, critical race theory. Donald Trump went to harm the protesters while
Hmm. Yeah.
giving a pass to Billy Bob, who went inside that building and
Well,
shit. I'm
well,
listening.
yeah. You gotta So you got the protesters that their charges were enhanced from misdemeanors to felonies. when
That's a good one. I love how you brought that one in there. Yeah, say it. Don't
yeah,
say it. Tell
you
me
know,
what happened to
so
that first person, Puerto Rican, that was sentenced. What happened? What they got?
they got 3 years of probation.
Pro. Oh, wait a minute. And Puerto Rican. What?
And oh, and she was only charged $500.
Wait a minute now. You remember I told you about the black woman that was in Texas that just happened to vote in the wrong precinct? How many years she got, Puerto Rican?
She got 5 years in prison.
No,
But
no, you got that wrong. She didn't get
oh
5 years probation.
no sir, no sir,
She no.
5 years in prison.
Wait. Let me get this right. So, a Caucasian woman, an American citizen. No, let's just say an American citizen,
American citizen
went inside the
who
United
happens
States
to be
Capitol.
Caucasian.
Who happens to be correct? Or I'm sorry, who happens to be Caucasian? Went inside of the United States Capitol, broke into the Capitol, and received. You said 3 years probation.
3 years probation. And
But a
fined
black woman
$500.
and another American who happens to be of black persuasion, of melanin in her system, her DNA, she received 5 years in prison for voting in the wrong place. Ain't that America, boy? Ain't that America?
And it was only, but you gotta remember, she's been voting in that same place for years. And because go back to the Republicans and knocking down voting rights, they redistricted her without her knowing. So she's going to the same place as usual, and because she filed her ballot at the same place she usually goes to, but now it's the wrong place. She got 5 years in prison
Think
for
about that. Wow.
for voting at the wrong precinct.
Think about in Texas is TD Jakes. TD Jakes. What's the other white dude? The
Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen. 100,000 people. And you mean to tell me none of those biblical guys came and stepped in and helped this young lady so she gets 5 years? Think about that, Pretty Ricky. She was utilizing the franchise called voting. Simple mistake. They threw the book up, gave her 5 years. Billy Bob and Susan Sarandon kills police officers, storms the Capitol, wipes excrement, and urinates all throughout these hollowed halls that our ancestors built, that legislation is passed, was
That's
given.
It's supposed to be pinnacle of security in
the
country.
The cradle of democracy. And she received 3 years probation. And if that is not to show you why critical race theory is so important, that is a beautiful illustration, Puerto Rican. I love how you brought that in. That is a beautiful illustration of why critical race theory is so important. And it's not a theory, it's a fact.
It's a fact. Yes, sir.
The laws are all dependent on common black people. And the wildest thing is, the black lady was charged with a felony. And the white woman who went inside a federal building was charged with a misdemeanor. Hey, and you know the wildest thing is, I brought that up at work this week, and I explained to him. I say, see what happened was by them charging them with misdemeanors, they don't have, and instead of felonies, they don't have to enhance the charge because murder happened on those steps. So 5 people died
automatically. What they did. Instead of enhancing, they dehanced our.
Correct.
They I don't know how to say that.
No. Wherever it went, however word that we can find that goes with what they did, is not right.
No, not at all. Yeah, it was supposed to automatically be a felony, regardless.
Automatically, and because it was the United States Capitol, it's supposed to be capital punishment. They supposed to have been charged. They supposed to have been punished to the highest of. I don't want to use those words, but they supposed to have been punished to the highest extent of the law. The books supposed to have been thrown at, but that shows you these people. Why I say I don't like to use Democrats and Republicans. These are white men and white women. They are allowing this to happen. The same groups of people who did that compromise after the Civil War, 10 years after the Civil War, when they sat up and they shook hands and they pulled the troops out of the South. And Jim Crow after Reconstruction, Jim Crow came in.
Yes, sir.
These are the same people, which is why she was given a slap on the wrist of 3 years probation. 3 years
Mm.
probation, but a yet black woman who made a simple mistake.
Well, it was
Who
even
you?
a, I wouldn't even say it was a
I'm
mistake. She
sorry,
was
you're
doing
right.
what she usually did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And see the thing is that's disgusting. That's why when people say, "Well, why should you? Oh, why everything is all about race with you, Mr. President?" Because everything about America is race.
Yes, sir.
They show you that this lady they went into the Capitol. They wiped boo on the walls, and you know what's amazing? Why haven't they showed us the pictures of this? Don't tell me
Yeah.
this is what they did. Show
Yeah.
me the pictures of them spewing human excrement. Think about that. They took the time to pull their
Mhm.
pants down, boo
Mhm.
boo in their hand, and wipe it on the walls. You tell me these people are supposed to be given justice?
Hmm.
But you know what happened this week? I turned on the news because I knew we was gonna have a show this week, and I'm
Mhm.
watching all these news channels, and everybody talking about crime is on the increase. Crime is in. Why, my. Isn't it amazing how all of a sudden crime is on the increase? Crime is not on the increase. They just
Nah.
over-reporting garbage.
Yeah.
The
Crime
real
is the
crime
same
was
crime it was.
correct. The real crime was January 6th.
Yes, sir.
But no, the real crime is when they just decided not to extend and give um, descendants of slaves these got rid of these restrictions on voting and passing all these onerous laws that bar you from being able to exercise what they say is a democratic process.
Yes, sir.
These are some gangsters, boy.
Yeah.
And it don't get no bigger gangster than this, Pretty Ricky.
Nope.
But yet, here it is. Today is Saturday. We get ready to go into a Sunday. Got 4th of July coming up, and once again, with the bullshit.
Mhm.
What we getting ready to celebrate? What I just told you, we can't celebrate Juneteenth
No.
because that's not the actual date. We
No,
can't
sir.
celebrate July 4th because we was enslaved.
Yes, sir.
So here we go again with another time where people get ready to celebrate this mythology
Yes.
of the red, white, and blue. Of the red, white, and blue. Oh my lord! And you know what's funny?
Hmm.
I was watching his name is Ted Cruz from he's a senator from Texas, and he was
Yes, sir.
talking about how critical race theory is like the Ku Klux Klan.
Hmm?
Yeah, he said teaching critical race theory is like the Ku Klux Klan. And what's so funny is I keep noticing how these immigrants, because he's an immigrant, he's a child of
Yeah.
immigrants,
Yeah.
have to keep throwing up the Ku Klux Klan, and so like me and your stepmom, we're in the process of we getting some more shirts for
Mhm.
the anti-celebration of July 4th, and I thought about it. I say, wow, these people. The Confederate flag was not the flag of slavery. The
No.
flag of slavery was the American red, white, and blue.
Mm.
It's like they tried to make you think and forget that it was. That's why, and this is to go back to why I'm saying this should be a class action lawsuit against the United States of America. It was because under the United States of America, the corporation is what enslaved our ancestors and took the land from the indigenous people, our
Mm.
ancestors.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying, Puerto Rican?
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
if it was under the cloak of the United States government, it's the United States government that is at fault. And they
Yes, sir.
keep throwing up the Ku Klux Klan, or they'll throw up and they love to talk about Hitler. And I'm like, wait, well, Hitler had nothing to
Haley
do.
wasn't even over here.
Hitler wasn't over here. There was no goddamn television screens for what they were doing. There was no mass media what they were doing. Our dicks was in the dirt. And but see, this is the game they play. It's that this distraction, you know. It's the distraction. It's like, oh, this the building that collapsed in Miami. Let's not talk about that the Republicans and the Democrats screwing the people when it comes to voting. Let's not talk about
Yes,
that. Let's
sir.
not talk about that they can't wipe out all mortgage debt.
Yeah.
No, but we can keep propping up the banks.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It
Boy,
is
these
fiat currency that they just print out of thin air.
God, Pretty Ricky.
Because just think about that. If they able to print money out of thin air, that means that no one should be able to have debt. They can wipe it all out. They can zero the balance.
And in any time they want to. I mean, they keep coming up with money. Joe Biden, now all of a sudden you got some type of infrastructure plan. What get the fuck out of here, man. You know what's wild? You on the road right now. You're a
Mhm.
truck driver. And the wildest thing is, our tax dollars through the gas tax is supposed to keep pay for the upkeep of the roads and the service of the road. But every time you turn around, they telling us they ain't got no money. So now you going. So now Joe Biden is getting ready to come up with hundreds of billions of dollars kickbacks to these construction companies that don't hire American workers. You
Nope.
I mean,
They're not payment.
pretty big boy. Hey, and the wild thing is, in your state, you ride around, you see who cutting the grass. They got state
Yep.
prison on the back of their shirts.
Yep.
The electrical lines when things go down, they got inmates up there fixing the power lines. Again, they give it and they take it.
Well, that goes back to the 13th Amendment.
Go back to the 13th Amendment. And you see, that's why critical race theory, that's why they didn't want it taught. That's why they don't
Yeah.
want it taught. And I hope that more and more people start understanding critical race theory is everything, and it is real. And it's not a theory. It's not a theory. God. And why the thing is, in the Constitution, it says that only Congress can coin money.
Yes.
Only Congress. But for some strange reason, nah, we're going to let a private bank coin the money. We're going to let the billionaires dictate the policies of this nation. Oh, wait a minute. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson have made sure that minority group of rich white men will always be in control.
Yes, sir.
See, that's what they keep talking about. I love when I hear these people saying, we must maintain the filibuster. It protects minority rights. What?
Well, break down what a filibuster is, though, Pop.
A filibuster is just some fancy word they use to block any progress in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the wealthy aristocrats that set up this nation, they came up with these things. So, all right, let's go back. Go back to the late 16th, 17th century, and they breaking away from their mother, England. Okay, and so you got a bunch of white men in Philadelphia, a bunch of white men in New York. They sitting up in the room. These are all the wealthy landowners and some of the so-called that's connected to them. They just sitting up there and they drafting up documents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rest of the people that's walking around the streets have no idea these individuals are drafting this type of document.
Mm-hmm.
Little do they know that they're going to also enshrine that only people that can vote on this so-called new Congress, what they call it, the Continental Congress, only people that can vote are the people who own land. Well, if all the land was in the hands of just 1/10 of 1% of the population, well, it shows you why George Washington enshrined in the Bill of Rights that they will make sure that there will be rule. The minority would never be able to be dominated by the majority. So in the Senate, even though it's not in the Constitution, they came up with this scheme called the filibuster to prolong a debate. But what happens is, as you get into the 19th century, well, you got these individuals now using this to block any type of legislation in regards to black folks. So, if I'm correct, I think the first was in 1865 when they decided the 1865 Civil Rights Act. No, the 1865 Civil Rights Act, which gave black people the 40 acres and a mule. It was called General Order Number 3, but it was under the Civil Rights Act of 1865.
Okay, gotcha.
And even then, they used the filibuster to block those 40 acres and a mule, which President Andrew Johnson was able to stop. So we was given those 40 acres and a mule. And then typically as a white man, you know, when they say you're an Indian giver, which means I gave you something, I take it back, which really the original Indian giver was these Europeans.
Yeah.
And so
give it to you and can take it back.
Then take it back. So again, 13th Amendment, they give something to you and they take it back. 14th Amendment, they give you something to you and they take it back. 15th Amendment, you know, equal protection under law, they give it to you, they take it back. 14th Amendment, they say birthright citizenship. But yet, here we come. I need documentations and papers to say that I'm a citizen. Why? I was born here. I'm the indigenous one. So that's what that filibuster is there for. It's to maintain. And then, then you get into the 20th century of any legislation for black folks. The filibuster was used.
Yes, sir.
So anytime that there's progress, the old mechanism of George Washington, the old ghost of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson rears his ugly motherfucking head. So the reason why there's never no progress is because these people dictate through those machinations called their laws that's just again made by man to make sure that there's no progress. So that's why these people in these state legislatures can go around and use the 10th Amendment, which is states' rights, to, hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which is why they are saying the 10th Amendment allows them to change these laws. And they tell the federal government, hey, I have states' rights. You can't tell me how I let my people vote.
Mm.
So this is the game. This is to show you the genius of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, these white men who owned and who was, you gotta remember, George Washington was a land surveyor. So that's how he
Yes.
was able to acquire, I think he had over 100,000, 200,000 acres of land in the 16th, 17th. Think about that. In the 16th, 17th century, this man owning a couple of 100,000 acres of land,
Dang.
which gave him enormous power. Thomas Jefferson, enormous power. The
Yes,
more
sir.
slaves, I think each slave you had, you could have up to 160 acres of land for each slave.
Dang.
So it was some astronomical number that these individuals had. So of course they're going to come up with a system and have these backdoors. So a filibuster is basically just all right. Use it for instance with computers.
Yes,
The
sir.
people who the software designers, they always create a backdoor so they can always come in and always have control. Well, that's what George
Mm.
Washington them did. You understand what I mean, Brother Ricky? That's
Yes,
a
sir.
better way for me to give it to you. They just added the
Back door.
filibuster as the back door to make sure that they always have a get out of jail pass. All right, I just want to thank you, world, for listening to another episode of Conversation with Pops. I'm Gerald President, and this is my son,
I'm Cedric President, aka Pretty Ricky.
and we're going to say peace.
Peace.
This issue is under investigation by the IG, and so I won't comment any further on that.
In my previous discussions with service members and particularly officers, I would hear about complaints over parts not arriving on time, long deployments, and in my more recent discussions with those officers, the number one issue that they raised to me with concern, often unable to speak publicly for fear of the type of retribution that Lieutenant Colonel Lohmeyer faced, they say that your stand down regarding extremism did not help our military, it hurt the military. And I want to share with you that perspective, that it caused service members to otherize one another, it impaired group cohesion, and interesting to me is that I've heard those sentiments most frequently from units that are majority minority, that this was not particularly helpful. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to maybe share with us more specificity regarding the definitions that seem to be a challenge when Ms. Hartzler was asking questions. How should the Department of Defense think about critical race theory?
Could I make a comment, Secretary? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm very limited on my time, General Milley.
Well, I just want to make a comment that the feedback
I know, but
I've gotten
I've asked the question to Secretary Austin.
I don't know what the issue of critical race theory is and what the relevance here with the department. We do not teach critical race theory. We don't embrace critical race theory, and I think that's a spurious conversation. And so we are focused on extremist behaviors, and not ideology, not people's thoughts, not people's political orientation. Behaviors is what we're focused on. And one final point, and thanks for your anecdotal input, but I would say that I have gotten 10 times that amount of input, 50 times that amount of input on the other side that have said, hey, we're glad to have had the ability to have a conversation with ourselves and with our leadership. And that's what we need to make sure that we remain a cohesive organization.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary, it may be that you're receiving that input in the ratios you describe because it was your directive. It may be that people are concerned about criticizing your decision because Lieutenant Colonel Lohmeyer was not relieved of his command for his actions. He was not relieved of his command because of poor performance regarding his duties. He was relieved of his command precisely because of his thoughts and because of his critique of critical race theory. It is particularly helpful that you have said that the Department of Defense does not embrace critical race theory and that you think the discussion is not appropriate. I would suggest that it is the ideology that is not appropriate, and it is particularly concerning to me that you have hired a critical race theorist to give you advice on personnel matters, and that person is Bishop Garrison. And I would particularly observe that on July 27, 2019, Bishop Garrison tweeted regarding former President Trump, he's dragging a lot of bad actors out into the sunlight, normalizing their actions. And here's the relevant part. If you support the president, you support that. There is no room for nuance in this. There is no more, but I'm not like that talk. And then he replies to his own tweet with what seems to be a very ethno-nationalist hashtag, hashtag Black44. Could you enlighten us as to what advice Mr. Garrison has given you, and are you concerned that while you testify publicly to our committee that the department doesn't embrace critical race theory, you have hired someone who is precisely a critical race theorist?
This is the first I've ever heard Mr. Garrison be described as a critical race theorist, so this is new. And I'm sure
did you review his
would,
tweets before you hired him, personally?
Pardon me?
Did you review his tweets before you hired him?
I did not personally review his tweets.
I would just ask that maybe that be helpful. Is there anything you can share in just these final seconds regarding any advice he's given you?
Let me just share one other thing that you brought up, Congressman, about the input that comes to me. You know, I trust my leadership from top to bottom that they will give me fair and balanced and unvarnished input. And for you to say that people are telling me what I want to hear, I get it, but I'm smart enough to know
that does happen.
Yeah. You know, maybe they're telling you what you want to hear.
Well, I don't know that they even know what I want to hear.
Gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Brown is recognized for 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. I know my time is very precious, but I would like to yield some of my time to General Milley because I know that he had some comments that he wanted to make when Representative Gates was talking, as well as Mr. Waltz, about a similar subject of the stand down and race theory. Would you like a minute or so to comment on that? Do you remember what your line of questioning or thought was there?
Sure. First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets. But I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you, General. Changing.
Your car dealer will hate me for showing you this because I'm about to rip away their big fat commission check and put it back into your pocket.
Talk about this religion stuff. Black folks got to understand that's why we stay trapped. That's why we haven't expanded.
Yes, sir.
That's why, and once we be able to break free of that, see, that's the real thing that's holding us back, Brother Ricky, is their interpretation of religion and God that's in our blood.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Which is why they would only pick one big buck who they can really control, and he can only preach certain gospels. And then the thing that here it is in 2021, we still got black people inside those buildings believing that, and have grandmama saying, "Baby, just pray on it, baby. Baby, just pray on it. Everything gonna be all right." Well, they prayed. Barack Obama got in there. They prayed when Bill Clinton got in there. They prayed when Lyndon Baines Johnson got in there. They prayed with Abraham Lincoln. We've been praying and praying and praying, Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
And they've encircled us. And it's like shooting fish in the barrel because they know we're gonna sit there and pray. We're gonna give forgiveness. You know, we're gonna ask forgiveness like they did with Dylan Roof and those families after he done murdered them. They at the time, hey, we forgive you,
Pray
Dylan.
for, we forgive you.
Or the cat that was in Texas and they shot both them Gene and they shot his brother and he stands up and wants to go hug the little white police officer. You remember that one now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what we do. See, so again, we prayed. They got Joe Biden in now, and what he did, he gave Asians money. You understand? They prayed and prayed, and the state of Georgia, Governor Kemp said, "Nigga, y'all can't even hand out water while you're waiting in line. This is what I think of you." You know, but they keep praying. You know, they had a march all the way up in West Virginia. The Poor People's March was in West Virginia, going right down to Joe Manchin's house. Like Joe Manchin was the one who could really pull the string. Get out of here, man. His state cracked out with people all on pharmaceutical drugs. But again, we still pray. We got Martin Luther King, we still pray. We got Farrakhan, we still pray. We got Jesse Jackson, we still pray. And what they pray to harming you over and over and over. So again, when you bring up this God thing, man, until we get that out of our systems. And I know those that's listening to this, hey, those are my views, and I don't feel that you should have to subscribe to what I'm saying. All I'm saying is critically think about it. You live in a nation and I live on a planet that's enslaved you, enslaved the planet, and they gave you their version of what religion is.
Yeah.
They gave that
'Cause-
to you.
yeah, because it's like for me, I don't really believe in religion, but I do believe in a higher power. I do believe that something created us before we was here. Something created the grass and stuff. Because I can't conceptually understand how it works and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So, but at the end of the day, I believe for me to live the way that I want to live, for me to do the things in which I want to do, it comes like God put that energy in me and stuff because I am able to create because that's how life comes about.
True,
You know what I'm
true,
saying?
true.
So I believe that I believe that I have the power to be able to create the reality that I want and stuff.
You do. But
Yes, sir.
we living on a planet now that they've distorted reality. You know,
Yes.
like I give you a good one. Earlier this week, young cat, he was going to get some food, and
Hmm.
so somebody asked him, "Hey man, give me some chicken wings." So I said to the young cat, I say, "Hey man," I say, "the grocery stores. I've been noticing there's no chicken wings in the grocery stores, but I see chicken thighs and chicken breasts." And he stops and he say, "You know, Mr. President, you're right. I haven't been seeing no chicken wings." So I said to him, I say, this just because they always know I was got these kind of questions. I'm always talking about certain
Hmm.
things. So I said, just think about this. I say, how in the world all these restaurants had chicken wings, the chicken wings on chicken wings. Now all of a sudden we ain't got no chicken wings. Well, we got fucking pieces of the thighs and the breast. I say, if you got thighs in the breast, I mean you got a chicken wing.
Mm.
Because something never made sense to me was how you can have all these chicken wings and you should have an abundance of fucking breasts and thighs.
Yeah.
But now there ain't no chicken wings, Puerto Rico, but there's a bunch of breasts and thighs.
Mm.
So the reason why I'm saying that is we've been putting faith in a system that has always been the opposite of reality.
Yeah.
You know, all men are created equal. You got slaves. It is there. This is democracy, but the Constitution says it's a constitutional republic.
Hmm.
Motherfuckers say the ocean is blue, but when you go and you put your hand in it, the motherfucking water is there is clear.
Mm.
You understand? They've always distorted reality, which is again. So go back to movie about that God thing, which is why
Yes, sir.
I ain't never let y'all come up looking for no Easter eggs.
No. No. No.
I never
Yeah.
believed in lying to you.
Yeah. You
I didn't
ain't that.
believe in lying to you.
There ain't no
But
Santa Claus. You Santa Claus.
I'm Santa Claus. Why am I giving you? Why am I again? I'm a God.
Hmm.
Your mamas and daddies on this planet are gods, and we are the original gods. So
Yes,
why
sir.
the hell I'm keep going giving it away? But see, that's the beautiful. That's what happens when you get in these indoctrination systems in the schools. Which goes back to when I was telling you I having a conversation with that principal, and
Yes, sir.
you're discussing this thing called pedagogy.
Yeah.
That's again.
Yeah, they use that all throughout the collegiate,
Mm-hmm,
like through college
mm-hmm.
pedagogy. Cause I remember I heard it for the first time. They were talking about race something, and then they were talking about I don't know, but they said pedagogy. And I'm like, I'm saying, what the hell does pedagogy mean? What
Yeah,
is pedagogy? I said, this is stupid. All it is just really discourse.
that's
Really,
it.
that's
And again, when they talk about Pavlov's theory with the dog licking it was like the dog was it's like they train you like a dog. That's
hmm.
how ABCD, and you teach your dog here.
Yes, sir.
Here's a trick, give him a treat. Here's a trick, do a trick, give him a treat. The same thing. And you're not learning. You're just constantly
All
memorizing
you doing is
everything.
regurgitating what you
That's that's
what
that's it. That's why they make sure that you don't have a critical thinking mechanism inside your brain.
yes, sir.
That's why it's okay. That's why they want you to believe in God. So if you believe in God, which means you will suspend reality,
Hmm.
which is hard. So that's why I say when we talk about these types of things, it's disturbing to people because in they mind they really want to believe that there's a God. They really
Hmm.
want to believe that if they keep going and giving this motherfucker $1, one day those winning lottery tickets go come, and it
Hmm.
never comes.
Yeah.
Same thing when we was in bondage in America. Or right now, we keep thinking they just gonna do the right thing. because we keep putting faith in everybody else, but it's some faith in ourselves.
Yes, sir. And that's the number one thing. It's like for me, I believe in a higher power, but I believe that higher power gave me everything that I need to be able to go about and do what I need to do to take care of me and my family, my future family, and live the life that I want to. You know what I'm
True,
saying? It's like the power is in me. It's not outside of me.
true, true, true. It is. See, that's why I say when we bring up this God, that means you're taking what's inside of you.
Hmm.
That's again, they want you to think that it's something outside of you that can help you move along.
Hmm.
Instead of that, knowing that that's that inner God, that God that's in you, that you can move mountains,
Yes,
just
sir.
one stone at a time.
Yes,
We
sir.
know we can build just one brick at a time. We know we can goddamn do a marathon. It's just one step at a time.
Yes, sir.
But see, they try to distort that, which is why nowadays is everything. There's no process here. There's just you don't have to cook nothing up. There's some
Hmm.
some fake stuff. Put it in the microwave and press 3.
Hmm.
That's so go back with them chicken wings. Ain't no chicken wings, but it's a bunch of chicken thighs. And now and one other thing was, and when the young fella came back, he said, "Man, Mr. President, you was right. Ain't no chicken wings." I said, and the wilder thing was, I'm saying this, and it's a commercial for Rick Ross. Ain't no more wing
All about
stop.
the
Now
wings.
he got thigh stop.
Mm.
He got thigh stop. Think about that. So where did chickens go, Pretty Ricky?
Mm.
Same place them UFOs went.
Mm.
Because for some strange reason, all of a sudden the government keep talking about UFOs. I ain't never
Yeah.
walked out and seen a UFO.
Me either.
But people say they believe in the UFOs and they believe in God at the same time.
Yes, sir.
And they believe that Jesus was resurrected 3 days after he was killed on Good Friday.
Yes, sir.
And instead of them saying, well, damn, if he got killed on a Friday, he rose 3 days later. That's a Monday.
It ain't Sunday.
How's it Sunday? Well, wait a minute. Well, did he even have days of the week back then? Wait a minute. Days of the week is a Greek Roman type of thing. Well, wait a minute.
Which came later.
Right, which came way after this individual, if that was a Jesus. And wait a minute. Well, how these people who look white build structures on a landmass of nothing but black people?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And here you got white people in America tell you, go back to where you came from. And then you say, wait a minute, your motherfucking people just came here in 1904.